Hey, it's Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is a special edition of To Back or Not To Back. We had like 10, 15, some large number of campaigns launching yesterday. I picked 3 of the largest ones, and I'm going to briefly go over today in a bit of a special edition. Like I said, every single Monday we do To Back or Not To Back. You can find out more detail on these campaigns and more details with an S on these campaigns and other campaigns if you wait around till Monday, or you can watch this video where I'm going to go ahead and dive into Tidal Blades, Rise of the Enfolders, Ares Expedition, Discovery and Foundations, and Jurassic World, the Legacy of Isla and Nublar, there's an L in there. These 3 campaigns, collectively with over 10,000 backers combined, we have over $1 million. If you combine all 3 campaigns, you're just over $1 million, which means you can, of course, rely on Chris George from Room and Board to put out his 5 reasons not to back, which I guess technically applies to like only 1 campaign at a time, not a collective of 3. Then again, he didn't really do it for Kingdoms Forlorn, so I'm not really clear what his rules are to begin with, but I'm getting distracted. Jurassic World, Legacy of Isla Nublar. Let's go ahead and start with this Nublar. There's an L in there. Let's start with this one. Timestamps down below. You can jump to any individual section, but going through a brief overview of these 3 larger campaigns. Are they right for you? Are they not? Should you skip them like a whole lot of people are skipping on Jurassic World, the Legacy of Isla Nublar? I got the L this time. So what I mean by that, we have $120 plus $20 shipping for the legacy game set in the world of Jurassic Park, brought to you by Prospero Hall, by Funko Games. This is their first Kickstarter, and I mean, it is going well, but it's also not going as well as they expected. It is going as well as I expected. I actually told them that this was something that they should expect, but either way, let's go ahead and dive into it. Sometimes I make friends with publishers, sometimes I make less friends with publishers. But the Legacy of Isla Nublar is a legacy game for $120, featuring 12 missions, including the tutorial mission, followed by an endlessly replayable campaign. That is a legacy game for $120. Now, legacy games do range drastically in pricing, but you have anything from My City going for $20 to Pandemic Legacy going for $50, $60. You had Divinus over on GameFound, the only crowdfunding legacy game that I recall. Maybe there's others, I don't know. But that particular game, that one going for, what was it, €60 plus, and then of course expansions if you wanted them. And then we have Jurassic World, Legacy of Isla Nublar, putting those to shame in terms of the price point on this one compared to those. $140 is what it's going to cost to get you the game, which is not my problem with it, and it's not other people's it's probably some people's problem with it. My problem with it, and other people's problem, is the fact that this legacy experience, which features 12 games for the low price of $14, $15 per play, which is not actually crazy for context. It's just the problem is the fact that this is going to be $120 MSRP, which means this game, if you're waiting around till it hits retail, it'll be $100. If you're waiting around till it's on sale doing some holiday season, you'll get it for $85, $90, or you can get it now with the Kickstarter exclusive box sleeve for $140. That's not even factoring VAT or anything else. That is a lot to ask to get this game. Do I want the game? Absolutely I do. Will I get it at some point? Absolutely I will. I love legacy games, and this looks great. I mean, great's relative. I don't actually know if it's great or not, but I tend to like legacy games for the most part. All it would have to be is pretty good for me to go ahead and get this, as opposed to being pretty amazing, because I like what legacy experiences give you, that sense of unlocking, that sense of adventure. But the price point is just not good. Now, the good news, because we do have good news, the good news is that they have seen the feedback. If you look at Update 2 is basically, hey everybody, we've had a really good campaign day, which they had. I mean, we have $200,000 raised on a $100,000 goal, but if you know Kickstarter, you also know that the funding goal is not necessarily what people expect or want, and we have and will see cancellations on a variety of campaigns. It's possible this one might see that. It's possible they might go ahead and take a look and say, you know what, we're going to cancel, we're going to relaunch because we misjudged the audience and what they're looking for. There is always going to be an audience of people who back no matter what, an audience of people who don't want to take the chance of retail, who want to be in, or who just don't do their research that hit back, especially when you have an IP, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, sitting there tempting people and baiting them in. So there's always going to be that segment. I knew this was going to succeed. I said from day one, I said to them, I said this will do well. But it's also going to get pushback. Both things are true. And the pushback came from a whole lot of comments, 321 comments. Not all of them are pushback. There's lots of responses in there. But a lot of comments who are basically saying, hey, we want this game, we just don't want it at the price point you're offering, and you're not giving us an incentive to get it during the Kickstarter. To be fair to Prospero Hall, their price point is incredibly fair and incredibly helpful to all their retailer partners who will not have to deal with any kinds of conversations around exclusives past the Kickstarter box sleeve, any conversations around price points. They're being incredibly fair to their retailer partners. It's just the problem inherently in the Kickstarter space is there's usually multiple parties at play. There's the company making the game, there's the people backing the game, there's the retailers who want the game, there's the distributors who will sell the game, and you're trying to balance all these objectives. All my criticisms here are not said without understanding that it is a complicated ecosystem where you will never make everyone happy. That said, I do my videos for you guys, so I care more about making you happy. But anyways, going back to this, so yeah, they realized, they basically said, hey, stay tuned, we're going to have some stuff, we don't want to increase the price point, we don't want to make them complicated or out of place, we don't want to mess this up, and we need to take time. And this is where I do ask, give them time. Practically speaking, I'm not saying back it, don't back it. I'm currently not backing it. I plan on getting it, but I'm currently not backing it. But give them time. The practical reality of life, and something that people tend to forget with Kickstarter, is that it is very easy to ask for change, but change, proper change, takes time. Immediate change where I promise you what you want, that can happen in a second. Proper actual change where we take a look at our options, where we think it through, where we discuss what we can and can't do. These are things that take weeks or months. Kind of expecting them to do it in the next 19 days. I wish we were expecting in the next 19 days. Most of you are expecting them to do it in the next day and a half. And that is not practically realistic if you want an actual promise that is followed through on, as opposed to something that is simply said to make you happy. So that's Jurassic World, Legacy of Isla Nublar, a game that I'm interested in, a legacy game, looks fun, looks intriguing, it has an IP that I like, it has a price point I don't like, and it has a conversation currently undergoing in which they may be adding more stuff. Keep your eyes peeled as usual, subscribe, liking is immaterial, subscribe to this channel so you can go ahead and follow any updates as I cover the changes in my to back or not to back every single week, which brings us directly to Ares Expedition, Discovery, Foundations, and Crisis. Another campaign that I've criticized in the past, less so today, but we'll talk about things. But Ares Expedition launched, well, a while ago on Kickstarter, last year, whenever it was, and then it kind of delivered to Target before backers, which prompted a whole lot of conversations, including a full video from me about the nature of it. In my case, I tend to be very understanding that companies have different people that they need to make happy and prioritize in different ways. The practical reality, though, is that you have to decide whether you're going to continue backing them if their priorities don't fully align with your own. It's just, again, there's no resentment on my part when a company does what a company wants to do. There's just a practical reality that might mean I don't back your campaigns. And it is worth noting that with 5,281 backers within the first day, they've already surpassed the day one count of their last Kickstarter. So all of you who swore up, down, left, right, and center that you would not back the next Stronghold Games campaign, how many of you are backing this one? I'm curious, because I said very clearly that I may or may not back it. It ultimately depends on the campaign. It's going to be case by case, and there are reasons to back this game, and there are reasons to not back this game. We'll talk about those briefly as we go through it. This feels like this particular video is a little bit more focused on attacking all the publishers, but this one's more middling. This one's more middling. So, Stronghold Games put out Ares Expedition. It landed at Target. Good news is they threw into the FA... Well, bad news, actually. I was actually sad to see this. Will this be in Target like the last campaign? And the answer is no, it will not. I was a little sad to see that, but I understand why. I was sad to see that because, practically speaking, my personal desire to, not have Target have it is short-sighted. I said this in my last video. I said the fact that I would much rather the hobby grow. I would much rather people see this game, pick it up, and be exposed to more aspects of this hobby than that I save $10 on my game. My priorities are much more aligned. As much as I always sit here in these videos and talk about it, you're going to save money here, don't back it here, save money there. Those are all true. About whether I get the game now or later, not whether I get the game at all, not whether I play and love and enjoy the game, and not whether I love and enjoy the hobby and want it spread. So I would love all the campaigns to show up in Target, and I'll get them in Target too, and I don't have to back it on Kickstarter, and everyone wins, and it's all fine and happy. This is not in Target for at least one reason. The first is that it's an expansion. Expansions tend to not see as much of a wide availability and whatnot. The fact that this already has as many backers as last time is already incredible, because that means that a whole bunch of people came back, and people who bought the game at retail and showed up and all those different things. And so an expansion doing as well as the original is very, very good. But yeah, it won't be at Target. Now keep in mind, that does not mean that it won't be in some other store before you. So again, back understanding the risk. This is a game that's offering you 3 expansions to Terraforming Mars Expedition. It's offering you Discovery, Foundations, and Crisis. If you want any of those individually, you will have to wait till retail, because right now, they're offering them all together in a single deluxe big box that fits everything or whatnot. If you want the individual expansions, which there are reasons why you might or might not, then you will have to wait for retail. That's when they're going to be packaged differently then. The 3 expansions give you 3 different things. We have the Expedition Discovery over here, which is going to give you awards, milestones, and upgraded phase cards. So say you're going to have these phase cards that you play every round. You have the opportunities to upgrade those, and you also have awards and milestones added into the game. These are things that were in the original Terraforming Mars. They were not in Ares Expedition, and now they're back. We also have wild tags on cards that you can define their tag as you play them. A little different than how wilds operate in Terraforming Mars, but still here we have that. And then from there we have the next expansion, which is going to be the Crisis expansion, which is the biggest game changer in my opinion, and the one that I absolutely really want. The other 2 are nice, don't get me wrong, but this is the one I really want. I've played them. You can check out my video on that on the channel. But Crisis makes Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition a cooperative experience, and it does so in a way that doesn't feel ham-fisted. It feels like you really are trying to work together to save Mars as it slowly self-destructs around you. And by the way, selfishly speaking, it's nice to see that they listen to some aspects of my feedback, including the fact that they have a redesigned scoreboard for these games, which gives you more scoring spaces on that, as opposed to just a full clip-on overlay. But additionally, they added a set of cards that you can buy, an extra set. You do have to buy them, that's the downside. But I didn't love the fact, in general when this happens in games, I don't love it when you have to separate cards out or just ignore cards. I like having a deck of cards that I can play with. Constantly shuffling and building and adjusting your deck of cards makes it less likely that I will pull you off the shelf compared to another game, and that just puts it further down the queue. And to that end, I will absolutely be getting the extra pack of cards that lets you fully play Crisis on its own without having to separate cards in or out. Now, the downside is that does mean that is something that has to be maintained going forward. When additional expansions come out over time, they will have to put out additional side packs of here's the 20 cards that are compatible with Crisis, if any are at all. But so it is something that has to be maintained over time if you want to actually fully benefit from this, but it's something that as long as they keep offering it, I'll keep getting it because it makes it more likely that I will table the game. So yeah, I'm getting those extra cards is what I'm saying over here. Then we have Foundations. Foundations offers the infrastructure, something which during my entire review 14 times I referred to as architecture, but you're not introducing the architecture terraforming metric, you're introducing the infrastructure metric. It's close enough, really. They both end with "sure," so, and they have to do with buildings and stuff and whatever. But anyways, we have the infrastructure metric over here, which introduces a 4th terraforming metric for the game. It also introduces the side overlay path for when you don't have that Crisis cooperative board. Don't love that as much, but then again, I didn't really care that much about the original board. It was small, but it didn't particularly bother me. We have the infrastructure overlay track. We have a bunch of new cards. We have phase cards for the 5th and 6th players that will be added to this expansion. This is likely my least favorite expansion. I like it. I still want it, but it's my least favorite from the 3. It's definitely Crisis, then Discovery, then Foundations as far as my preference on the expansions. That's going to be available for $49 for all of those together. There are additional optional add-ons, including those Crisis deck. We have $89 if you want the all new expansions for Terraforming Mars and the base game included. They have additional packs or options as far as getting all the extras that you might want for the game, and then of course they'll have the milestones going on throughout the course of the campaign, the daily unlocks as you get new promos, new this, new that, just new cards for your game, which, I mean, I like all the cards I can get, so I'm happy to see those. Those are generally available for purchase after the fact if you want to get your hands on them, which brings us to the whole price point stuff, other things. So like I said already, this thing is not going to be in Target, so we're going to probably see less of the drama this time around than we saw last time. It does not mean there's no drama. At the end of the day, back it if you want it, but don't back it if you're worried about a whole bunch of other scenarios, including the fact that the original Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition ran for $39 plus, of course, shipping, and you can get the collector's edition on Amazon for $34 right now. Like right now, actively, if you want the collector's edition, $34, go ahead, head on over to Amazon. You can get that. That's up to you. And so that's cheaper than it was on the Kickstarter and the original Kickstarter campaign, meaning even though it wasn't a Target, you can actively get the Kickstarter version of this game cheaper than you were able to get it from the Kickstarter. Now, to be fair, this Kickstarter version of the campaign is the collector's edition. It comes with some of the extras, but if you look through the questions, the 7 answered questions down here, it does seem that some people did get the promo cards and some people did not. So the Kickstarter campaign both came with the collector's edition with the upgraded player boards and all that stuff, the different colored box, but it also had the fact that you had that extra promo pack that we just talked about over here, and that may or may not have come with your Amazon copy, which means we're in that weird spot, which we will be throughout the course of this campaign, I imagine, where it's kind of up to you. Do you want to back this campaign? Do you not? What's the price point going to be? What's the availability going to be? Which retailers will or won't have it before you? And at what point will the whole entire thing be cheaper on Amazon than if you backed it anyway? Those are all questions that there are no hard and firm answers for, and I would say it depends which way your FOMO drifts. If your FOMO drifts more towards, I just kind of want this stuff and I don't want to have to deal with hunting it down later or any of that, back the campaign, the price point is fine, it's worth getting. If your FOMO drifts towards, well, what if this? What if the price point goes lower? What if it's available at retail? What if? Then wait, don't back the campaign. But you know what you definitely shouldn't do? You definitely shouldn't back the campaign. Then when things go wrong, swear up, down, left, right, and center that you will never back another Stronghold Games campaign, and then show up for the next expansion. Because that's just, I mean, you're just asking for it at that point. Which brings us to number 3, Tidal Blades 2, Rise of the Enfolders, the Cypher System RPG. Again, I balance this weird middle line of being like supportive and critical of companies. I get flack both directions. The company is always a little gun shy, like, hey Alex, we sent you our game, be a little nicer. And the people are like, why are you siding with those companies, you evil corporate overlord? And the answer is, I'm kind of in the middle of all these things. Anyways, this was not the direction this video was supposed to take, but Tidal Blades 2, Rise of the Enfolders, from James Hudson, from Skybound Games, from Druid City Games, not Skybound. They actually, Druid City, which was at one point combined with Skybound, they've separated out again. They're now their own individual entity. So Tidal Blades 2, Rise of the Enfolders, which has nothing to do with Tidal Blades 1 except for the theme, which I guess means it has something to do with Tidal Blades 1, but mechanically speaking, it has nothing to do with Tidal Blades 1. I mean, they both have cards, I guess, and they both have tokens, so mostly mechanically speaking, it has nothing to do with Tidal Blades 1. And by the way, Women Board, jokes aside, get your guns ready for Tidal Blades 2 and for Ares Expedition, because those two are going to cross $1 million before this day is up. Not before this day is up, before the campaign is up. But anyways, Tidal Blades 2. Tidal Blades 2 from Tim Eisner from Druid City Games, which is both giving you a dungeon crawling experience as well as an RPG. You can get one, the other, both, neither. Those are all options on the table. Speaking for myself, I'm getting Tidal Blades 2. It's fantastic. I will not be getting the RPG because I don't play RPGs because I have not enough time as it is. Let's find some more time in my life before I start trying the RPG rabbit hole. In any case, this is giving you a whole bunch of options for how you want to dive into Tidal Blades 2. There's going to be the base game. Let's go ahead and scroll down to the very pretty, oh, by the way, let's just talk about this again. This goes back to that straddling that line again. Tidal Blades, the praise for the original Tidal Blades, currently ranked amongst the top 1% of games on BGG. Wow, that's incredible. There's also a lot of games on BGG. The top 1% is a very nice sounding metric, but it's, I mean, don't get me wrong, this isn't the top 1,000, this is like 970 or something like that, so this isn't the top 1,000, which is notable. There's a lot of games out there, but with top 1% of games on BGG makes it sound so much better than it is. I haven't played the game, I'm not criticizing it, and there's been both positive praise and middling praise about Tidal Blades 1. I just appreciate the marketing aspect of this sentence because it sounds, I mean, the game's good, but it sounds better than it is. In any case, moving on to the actual game, we have Tidal Blades, a dungeon crawling experience with a bit of a battle board over here as you play cards down into your battle board to trigger rows and columns and then wipe that row or column so your actions get progressively stronger, and it's up to you to choose how and why your actions get stronger. In what order are you going to escalate? What patterns are you going to choose? What default bonuses on the board are you going to execute on? How are you going to upgrade and progress your Tidal Blade across their different personal paths they have? Because they have their objectives and you have to try to achieve their objectives every single round, and that will move you up these tracks, earning you unlocking bonus across 21 campaigns. And I think I mean, I'm not wrong here, but I'm pretty sure it was 18 missions originally and they bumped it up to 21. I'm not sure if that's a retail versus Kickstarter thing, because they also have 4 more exclusive campaigns coming in the daily unlocks. That brings you up to 25 missions or whatnot. So I'm not 100% sure on the count, but I'm pretty sure it's 21 plus 4. I'm pretty sure 21 plus 4. I'm pretty sure that's the count we're looking at, but we'll see. Time will tell. But overall, we have for the campaign options, we have this unfolding book, a whole bunch of fun things. There's a ton of videos out there. I have a full first impressions of the game or review. I'm not sure what I titled it. And it's close enough to a review, but with things that I know are changing. And then we have like 6 different gameplays over on Quackalope, of which I'm in like 4 of them or something like that, so you can check those out as well. But basically, let's go ahead and scroll down to the miniature set. The miniature set, oh, these miniatures are very nice, by the way. They're very, very nice. I've seen them. I've seen the prototype versions of them, that is, but the quality is excellent, or the sculpting is excellent. The quality is different than the final thing, so it's hard to comment on that. It's the nature of PVC or whatever it is, or resin versus PVC. But anyways, that is all the stuff over here. We have exclusive scenarios not included in the game. We have the Cayman's Revenge has been revealed over here. here, and we have more being slowly unlocked and revealed. I am always curious how these will be implemented or integrated into the base game, because that's always a bit of a juggling act around how you integrate scenarios in a way that actually makes them work well, even if they aren't available in the full retail version or whatever. But that's everything you have over here. Whole bunch of content in terms of tons of different content creators you can check out to see everything about the game. There's no shortage of information out there, and then there's the role-playing game. I don't know much about role-playing in general, past the general genre of what it is. This one has its own cipher system. What does that mean? I have no idea, because I don't know anything about this, and I'm not heavily looking into it. This isn't my lane. Stay in your lane in general, so you can talk confidently about stuff that you actually know, instead of stuff that you may one day get to know. But I mean, the art looks good. It seems captivating, seems intriguing. I just don't play RPGs, so I'm gonna, not try to play RPGs, except for Arena the Contest. I did kind of cave on that one. But then we have the pledge levels. We have the PDF book for the RPG. We have the standard game for $89. We have the RPG for $59. We have the upgraded game for $109. It's going to give you the upgrade pack, including all the deluxe resources and the 5 hero miniatures. So your miniatures for the heroes will be upgraded. And then we have the full deluxe, which includes another set. Well, not includes another. It includes 70 miniatures and deluxe food and shells. Basically upgrading all your miniatures, all your standees, from standees to miniatures, for the monsters, for the heroes, for absolutely everything. But that will run you $159. That's basically near. It's not double, but it's closing on double the price of the game if you want all of those, which means you should really question, do you care? How much do you care? They're nice, don't get me wrong, but I mean, honestly, how nice is nice? This upgraded game over here at $109 will already give you your main characters upgraded, although maybe you don't like the mismatch of miniatures and standees, so that is something you'll have to consider. But these are all things you'll have to consider. As far as should you back it, should you not, my guess is yes on this one, at least so far, based on where we are so far, because if this is anything like the original Tidal Blades, then it absolutely will hold its value, at least for a while. The original Tidal Blades has done just fine for a long time. I haven't checked where it is currently, but it's done fine for a while, and this one is actually doing better than the original Tidal Blades on Kickstarter. There seems to be more demand for this game so far. There's 3,400 backers in the first day, compared to like the 2,500 there was on the original Tidal Blades, so this is already outperforming the original. I'm pretty sure you'll beat that 700 and whatever it was. I don't remember the exact total, but I'm pretty sure we'll beat the original Tidal Blades as far as the funding goal, which means there's more demand for this one. That demand on Kickstarter translates into demand on the secondhand market, which means your pledge is likely very safe as far as if you want to back this game. You still have to question whether you care about the miniatures or not. This game is going to give you a lot of fun stuff to do, but if you're playing 25 missions, I mean, how will you actually replay it or not? They are replayable for context. I've already replayed some of them multiple times, and so I can tell you that they are enjoyable the second time round, but certainly it's less enjoyable the second time round. That sense of discovery, that sense of unlock, it's always less enjoyable second time round. And so will you play 25 games? Will you play 50 games? How many games do you need to play for it to be worth the miniature pack? On the plus side, if you do sell or trade your games after, then when you're done with those 25 games, it'll also hold more value for the next person. So you'll have an upgraded and improved first experience, and the next person can also have theirs. Maybe you paint miniatures. Maybe that's part of the process. I don't know. There's all these conversations you'll have to go through in terms of determining which pledge level is right for you, or even if you want the game at all. There's a lot of dungeon crawlers out there. This one borders very nicely the bounds of accessibility and being engaging at the same time. It is an easier game to dive into than many dungeon crawlers I have played. I can get you up and running playing the game within 5 minutes. Like, genuinely. You can't learn the game in 5 minutes, but if I'm running the game, I can have you up and running within 5 minutes, guaranteed. I shouldn't guarantee things, but guaranteed. And then from there, you'll have an engaging and rewarding experience as you go through it, as you make choices, tactical choices. Now, granted, you have to go through the campaign, upgrading your character, so as all those typical barriers to entry that are along the road, along the ride for a campaign game. But this is overall Tidal Blades 2, Rise of the Enfolders, a whole bunch of options from Druid City Games, including an RPG that I will continuously not talk about. And that is it. These are the 3 campaigns that launched today, or 3 of the 50. There's like, I don't know, there's like 10 campaigns that launched yesterday. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there. These are the 3 I chose to focus on because, frankly, they are the big ones, which is a little unfair because it does mean the ones that are struggling a bit more don't get that full attention. I will cover all of those, of course, in my to back or not to back this coming Monday, so make sure to subscribe to the channel to check that out while I finish my coffee, close up shop, and go do something else. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful in some way. And as always, have a good one.